Welcome to the Heavy Debriefings podcast.
We are Josh Runquist and the Metal Faerie,
A fun-loving metal couple that brings you the best in new music.
What did you just make me listen to? As well as movies.
3 hours later, nothing of value was added. TV.
It's going good, so why not cancel it? Video games.
Here's an idea. Remake the game, but make it worse. Wrestling.
Why are we still watching this week after week? And all things entertainment.
I knew it. I knew she was behind Black Guy Gates. And a little insight into our personal lives. You don't mind that I trauma dump on you, do you?
Emotional support girlfriend, party one. He's a handsome fella.
I know, you keep telling me. We're made for each other, because no one else would have us. Enjoy the show. Hey everybody, this is Josh Runquist here for the Heavy Debriefings podcast, episode 53, which, does this technically count as the first episode of the second year, or was last week's?
I think this would technically be the first of the next year, right? Because last week was,
Well, last week was 52, and there's 52 weeks in a year.
Well then,
some people count the anniversary as the next year, some people do it the next one, so...
We'll do a poll.
Yeah, so you decide. It's like those people during the millennium.
Yeah. When
that turned over, like some people didn't believe the year 2000 was the start of the millennium. It was 2001.
Right.
Which I don't understand those people.
Yeah. I know it's not labeled as one, but it's the first year getting to the one year.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to think. Yeah. But regardless of all of that, stammering and trying to buy up some time, again, I am Josh Runquist, along with...
the Metal Faerie.
And I'd like to think that we have a pretty good show going forward.
I think so.
We got a lot of news to talk about. We got one of my favorite Doom albums of 2024 for Accountability 101.
Yeah.
Programming note, next week there will not be an Out Today and What I Missed, not on the YouTube channel, not on the podcast, not in written form because I'm taking the week off for two very good particular reasons. One, July is the driest month outside of December for brand new releases, and I just didn't have enough in July to really make it worth it. I had a couple more that I've discovered since last week, so I think I had like 3 or 4.
Yeah, something like
which
that.
Is not enough.
No.
And I don't want to make it that small and make it feel like it's really insignificant, so I'm just doing what I should have done a month ago and took a week off after I tried to commit suicide. So
yeah, you deserve some time off.
Yeah, so I'm just taking a week off. I will be right back for the week of the 26th, so don't worry your pretty blue heads about it. I will be back the following week to cover all the latest albums and stuff that I missed along the way. But, of course, we still got this show.
We do.
And there will be a show next week as well.
Yeah.
We keep doing this every week because, well, it's probably the most enticing part of our relationship at this point is doing the podcast.
Right. It's fun.
Yeah, so our past week.
It's been a week.
Do we be completely dead honest? Do we allude to things? Or do we just focus on the stuff that pertains to the podcast?
I mean, we can talk about stuff, but I wouldn't say we get into detail, you know.
It's been a rough week.
Yeah.
Some stuff happened involving both parties talking into the microphones right now.
Yes.
Probably one of the biggest not good situations that's happened.
Kerfluffles?
Or one of our... Yeah, let's use the word kerfluffle.
Kerfluffle.
Yeah, probably our biggest kerfluffle that we've ever had.
Yeah.
Just to prove that just because we're talking into the mics and stuff like that, that does not mean that everything is perfect and honky-dory. That's every single relationship ever.
Yeah.
There's never anything that's 100% good 100% of the time.
Exactly.
But contrary to belief, we are not done, as far as I know.
No, I hope not.
Yeah, we haven't broken up.
No.
I haven't alluded to anything like this online. Although I did have one person on Instagram find it really offensive that I made the big blue pants post.
But it was your picture of yourself.
Yeah. The comment was, I thought you were in a relationship.
What?
And then in the next comment talking about, well, you always talk about how you're alone all the time.
That's because...
But you have a partner?
Right. Like, I get what you're saying when you say that, so I don't care that they're saying this, but like, to clarify to people out there, yes, I am here. We live together. We've been in a relationship for over 11 years, and that's great. But outside of me, he doesn't really have anybody in person. Like, I have family I'm able to see. I don't really have friends because I'm just not that type of gal. But
you're in the friend club.
I'm in the friend
See,
club.
you're allowed to have one friend.
Exactly. and you are it for me.
Yes. It's like the No Homers Club. We're allowed to have one.
Yeah. So when he says, I'm all alone, it doesn't mean he's physically not with me by his side. It means that he doesn't have other people he can reach out to. He doesn't have family like a lot of other people do, or friends to reach out to. It's not a reflection on me. And another part of it is that, as you know, I go by the Metal Faerie. I don't like to disclose my personal identification too much because I just like to keep that separate because I don't want work or anything
until this picks up and you become the real star of the show.
Right.
And we make so much money that you can quit your real job.
If we hit it big with this, maybe. But I want to keep my personal and professional life separate. So I try to keep that separate. And he is more than willing to go with that. And thankfully, he has been so nice about that throughout the years. And it's not a reflection on me or our relationship. It's a bigger picture thing when he says stuff like that.
Yes. But apparently to other people.
Yeah.
And don't worry, they blocked me after this. So yeah. Which I'm very, very confused by.
Yeah. I'm assuming that the one who was offended by the blue pants isn't familiar with The Simpsons.
Potentially.
Because if you know The Simpsons, it's funny.
What does Homer wear?
Blue pants. And he is happily married with 3 children.
Yes, and the joke is he no longer cares if he's attractive to women.
Exactly, because he's settled down.
Yes, and the commercial for Big Blue Pants is a very big guy who's shirtless, smacks his own butt, and starts wiggling to baby elephant walk.
Yes, it is great. And who knows how long that video goes on, because nobody has ever made it to the end.
Thank you. But despite us having a kerfluffle,
yes,
I think another huge thing to point out with all this, and you kind of alluded to it, but I'm going to go a step deeper.
Sure.
Do you know one of the things that has really kept us together? We don't talk about our crap online.
No.
This is the deepest that we're probably ever going to go into that.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to allude to what the problems were.
Yeah, no.
I don't make vague book posts about you.
No.
You don't do that to me.
Yeah, we wouldn't be together if that happened.
Yes.
It sounds like either one of us would put up with that.
If a woman or a gender not mine comments on something of mine, you don't get jealous, stalk them down, put on a diaper, drive from Minnesota down to Florida to go and take care of that situation.
I do love the idea of that, though. Just me driving cross country in my diaper.
Yes. But you are aware of the fact that if someone of a different gender is commenting on something of mine, they're not saying they want me.
No.
They're just responding to something I posted.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So I just needed to point that part out. I didn't know if you saw that or not because it was on that Big Blue Pants Instagram one.
I didn't see that.
I think the comments are gone now, or maybe I'm just blocked. I don't know. But yeah.
Bring it, gals. Bring it.
And also for just transparency once again, that had nothing to do with the kerfluffle that happened.
Oh, no. Completely separate. This is just a separate conversation.
But, I just wanted to bring that up on the air.
Yeah.
But, despite it all, even less than 24 hours after the kerfluffle, we tried to make the best of it.
Yeah.
I slept for just a little over 3 hours. You got a little bit more sleep.
Yeah.
But you took a mental health day.
I did, because when I woke up, the night before, the day before, this week in general, I've been dealing with some mental health stuff overall, but then...
Not just us, I need to point that out to anyone listening.
It's something I deal with on my own. But when I woke up that morning, yesterday morning, I had a bit of a panic attack, and I have little panic attacks sometimes, but full on, it's been a while, but I had a full on panic attack yesterday morning, and you were amazing during it.
Oh, I didn't think we were going to be talking about this.
Well, it's the little hump that got us into the rest of the day, I feel like.
I'm not with you because I need someone to cook and clean for me, and I'm with you because of, the love.
That's right, Angel.
Yes, I seen you start a panic attack that is on competition with one of my panic attacks.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times I try to keep them very subdued, but sometimes I can't. You had a very huge panic attack, probably the biggest I've ever seen you have.
Yeah.
And I either could have just let you suffer because of the kerfluffle, or I could have sprung into action, got you water, got you something to take for calming down, which you didn't take. It was one of my
Yeah.
It was one of my non-habit forming anxiety medications.
Yes.
And I just talked you through for about half hour to 45 minutes of just trying to help you with breathing exercises, trying to think of good things.
Yeah.
Telling you to occasionally take a sip of water because, when your body's running like that, it's expulsing so much energy that you need to stay hydrated somehow.
Definitely.
And just trying to be there for you because that's exactly what I've always wanted when I had panic attacks. And until I met you, I didn't have anyone to help me with my panic attacks. I just had to suffer alone.
Right. But
So, I just sprung into action.
you did, and you were amazing. And so then once that kind of calmed down,
We tried to go to sleep.
we tried to go to sleep.
And it didn't work.
It didn't work.
But we were watching The Simpsons.
We were.
Usually we watch King of the Hill when we try to sleep, but you put on The Simpsons.
I did. So, I mean, you usually, if you're sleeping alone, you put on The Simpsons.
Yes.
So once in a while, I throw on The Simpsons when we go to bed at the same time.
Well, when you got over 750 episodes that you can choose from, you're not normally seeing the same episode twice.
That is true.
So it's just good to have on for a very long time like that.
Yeah.
And we just came across the Itchy and Scratchy, the movie episode.
Which we love Itchy and Scratchy.
So much so, I have an Itchy from Itchy and Scratchy Land. Super 7 made these really detailed action figures with all these different things. It comes with like a bass drum that you carry around like a marching band.
Yes.
Some guns, some axes, some
He's so
other
cute.
stuff. Well, he's so cute with the ears, the eyes, the buck teeth, all of that stuff.
Exactly.
But, never got itchy.
Scratchy.
Or scratchy.
Yeah. But the last time we were at one of our favorite comic book stores, we saw Scratchy, and he was on sale, but we were already purchasing quite a bit of stuff, so we just didn't grab it at that time. But we're like, well, maybe
that's actually where we got Nibbler.
It is. It's where we got Nibblers, where we got Itchy as well. A lot of our stuff we get there. But we're like, maybe they still have it. We could order it online, or we could just swing over there and kind of see if they still have it.
And of course, it was the last in stock.
It was.
They did have some new ones there, like Ralph and Radioactive Man and other ones there. But, Itchy needs Scratchy and vice versa.
It's true.
So
if Ralph goes on sale, though, I might have to get him and have him on my desk.
Ralph is very, very cute.
He's so cute. You choose me?
And I love that he has the little black hair that he kind of got when he was in the boy band.
Yes.
I'm a pop sensation.
Oh.
And of course, when, he has that really high voice, but his singing voice is that very low baritone voice.
Yeah.
So good. But, we picked up the robot Scratchy, so now we got robot Itchy and Scratchy from Itchy and Scratchy Land.
We did.
He's still in the box, though. Haven't taken him out yet. And we also got a couple other things there, too.
Yeah. We are big fans of Spawn. And we have a little bit of a Spawn shelf already going on.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
But they have so many good Spawn figurines at, pretty much every comic book store we go to. They have a lot of Spawn things.
And depending on who you ask, Spawn stuff never sells. If you know who that is, please comment down below.
It's unlikely, but if
it
you
is
do.
very unlikely. But it is a YouTube personality.
It is.
So if you know.
But yeah, they had a ton of Spawns there, and we looked through them, and there was a couple that just struck our fancy. So we picked up a couple more for our display.
Yes, the first one is the original Spawn the movie Spawn action figure.
Yes, it's so 90s looking.
Oh yeah, it is that perfect 1997 look, and for being 26, 27 years old, depending on when it was actually made and all that kind of stuff, it's held up very well. There's no yellowing on it. It's not bent to crap or anything. Like, it's in really good shape.
Yeah, it looks good.
And then the one that was much bigger, better quality, obviously.
Yeah.
We got the 30th anniversary collection from the McFarlane Toys line. It is Commando Spawn.
Yeah.
With his red, white, and black look going on. It's a re-release, but it looks absolutely insane with like the detail that goes into it. He looks gigantic and everything.
Yeah, it looks amazing. And the packaging is really cool too.
They were basically the same price.
Yeah, they were cheap compared to a lot of action figures.
And then looking it up online, we actually got them for cheaper than what they're going for.
Yeah,
so I appreciated that a lot.
We always feel good
Shop
when we get
local.
we always feel good when we get a good deal.
Yeah, like the one that we go to, they price things very, very reasonably.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you will get them cheaper than what you'll find online,
Yeah.
which is what I truly appreciate about them.
Exactly.
And either collectible or comic book stores in the same area, they're still cheaper,
Yeah.
which is cool. But that wasn't all that we did yesterday, but we're going to save that. We're going to
will.
save that little tidbit because I think we should continue into, well, some people like to consider Spawn 97 a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's a horror movie in more than one different way.
That is true.
But we saw a couple of horror movies from Sunday to Friday.
We did. First up, we saw Maxine.
Yes, if you're not familiar, Maxine is the third in a trilogy that started with the movie X. Then there was the prequel to that known as Pearl, which I've noticed more people have seen Pearl than seen X,
Yeah.
which is weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, why would you not
Well,
try to go in order?
I think by the time Pearl came out, Mia Goth, who stars in it, was becoming a bigger star. So I think a lot of people caught on to her by then,
Come on, Shia, give me all you got.
right? I keep forgetting
What a
that.
combination.
I know. I keep forgetting they're together and have a child and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So weird.
So, and speaking of that, is she like the best actress in horror for the 2020s? I mean, I feel like she's the biggest name in horror
It's the
nowadays.
biggest, yeah. I don't know about best. I'd have to think about that. I mean, I do like her, definitely, but there's other people I like too. Yeah.
Okay. But, well, the reason I ask this is because, again, this was the third in a trilogy, and it's the sequel to X. So I guess you could start with Pearl and then X and then Maxine if you wanted to go chronologically. I think it would still work.
Yeah.
But with this 80s flair and everything, they decided to take the series into a very different direction.
Yes.
Instead of being just a slasher horror kind of thing, it was more of a crime thriller.
Yeah.
What did you think of that part?
So,
Not going into the whole movie, just like the
right.
idea of it going from like a horror slasher into more of a crime thriller.
I enjoyed it, and especially it being set in the 80s, like they encapsulized that so well, I felt like. And yeah, just that kind of that serial killer 80s LA vibe I loved about it.
And of course, Maxine did not get the part to be in the Lizzie Borden video.
I
know. It's a
know.
little bit of a spoiler.
I know.
It's a little bit of a spoiler, but
that's the best
that
line.
might have been my favorite line in the whole
Yes.
movie.
Yes.
Yeah, and there is one character that's like totally into 80s metal, which is great too.
Yes.
Just like he full on like 80s metalhead punk
Yep.
kind of thing,
so
which
good.
I thought that was so great to see. And just nice seeing Lizzie Borden get a little bit of a shout out in it.
I love
Because
Lizzie
of
Borden.
all the 80s bands, you never hear anyone talk about Lizzie Borden
Which
like
is a
that.
shame because I love Lizzie Borden.
I'm going to pretend they're the last band that we've seen live.
Yeah, yeah.
Not the headliner,
No.
but I'm just going to pretend it was Lizzie Borden.
Exactly.
But, I guess I'll just kind of rip off the Band-Aid here.
Yeah.
I loved everything about Maxine up until about the last 20 minutes or so.
Right around.
And I felt like it pushed itself down the stairs, Mommy Dearest style. Or what was that movie with like the wheelchair and then pushing the girl down in the wheelchair? I thought it was Mommy Dearest. I might be wrong about that.
I'm not sure. I think there's a few I've seen with that kind of a scene.
Well, it's also King Diamond as well too, because that's how the grandma dies, is getting pushed down the stairs from her wheelchair. But the last 20 minutes, it felt like they didn't know what they were gonna do to end all of this.
Yeah.
Am I wrong in feeling that way?
Yeah, it felt like it kind of, there was a couple different movie ideas there combining into one, and it just fell short in every way. Yeah, it was a messy storyline ending.
Yeah. And then they also did like some flashback, flash forward, hallucination things that were going on in between all of it as well, which if you're not paying attention is really going to mess you up.
Yeah, well, and then there was a lot of things like the flashbacks and some other things throughout the movie too that
Well, that was the
ended
point
up
of it.
What?
No, go ahead.
that ended up having really no meaning at all. Like they could have been completely cut out.
It alludes back to the previous two movies, but it doesn't pay off in any significant way whatsoever.
No, yeah.
It's like they were thrown in as an afterthought because they needed to connect it to the other two movies. This one could have had nothing to do with the previous two.
Yeah.
And it would have been the same movie.
Yeah.
So I liked everything up until a certain twist.
Yes.
Which
yeah.
I called in really from the first movie. Because they do hint at it in the first movie.
Yeah. they
And
do.
then, like, the very first scene of the movie, it's like, well, that's gonna happen. And then towards the end of the movie, that happened.
Yup.
And also, it kind of ties into another storyline from a movie that we saw earlier this year with Late Night with the Devil.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I think Late Night with the Devil did it so much better.
Oh, 100%. Although I do feel like a completely different movie could be made with this side premise and would be amazing. But they, like, Maxine just briefly touched on it in a horrible way.
Yeah. To say I'm disappointed by the ending is an understatement.
Yeah, I would say that too.
I mean, I did enjoy everything up till the ending.
I know.
But
That's the hard part, because it's so promising. And then you get there and it's like, oh.
And there's one of the best death scenes ever, or alluding to a death scene ever.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which I won't give away.
No.
But it made my jaw drop to the ground when it happened.
I know.
Did the person die? We don't really know.
We can only guess.
I would imagine just from the sheer pain of it all that you pretty much had to.
Yeah.
But I think it doesn't need saying, but I'm sure someone out there needs it spelled out. This is the worst of the three.
Yeah, I would say so. Like the first 3/4 of it, I would like more than, I'd probably place above X, but Pearl's my favorite.
Pearl is the best one.
Yeah, Pearl is definitely number one. The first 3/4 of Maxine, I would probably like more than X, but because of the ending of Maxine, yeah, it falls into the last place.
But not all was lost, because yesterday, as we were trying to repair things,
yes,
I told you about this movie before, and you know, if you've learned anything about accountability 101, you don't have the best way of retaining things.
I know I don't.
To put it lightly. But it was nice to remind you that this movie came out yesterday as we're recording this. The brand new Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah.
Long Legs.
Yes.
We saw like a minute-long snippet teaser trailer that did not give away anything about the story or anything like that. And all I basically knew going into it was Nick Cage is in it.
Yeah.
And it might hint at Satanism. And I was sold.
Yeah.
What did you think from the teaser trailer?
Yeah, I mean
it grabbed your interest, obviously.
Yeah, it definitely grabbed my interest. Like you said, it seemed like it might be something satanic or of sorts. But like, I wasn't sure what the movie was about, but I knew it was by A24. I knew Nick Cage wasn't, or not A24, sorry.
Nope, it's the new A24 is too mainstream now.
Yeah.
Neon is what A24 used to be.
Yeah.
They're the art school horror.
Yes. It was by Neon, which we've liked previous movies from them.
Oh yeah, Infinity Pool, and then they also did Bratz, the Brat Pack documentary. So you can see that they cover both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, they have a wide
movie-going
spectrum.
experience.
And we knew Nick Cage was in it, which we're suckers for any Nick Cage movie,
especially a Nick Cage horror movie.
Yes, because Nick Cage is going to Nick Cage.
Yes.
So I was excited regardless. So yeah.
And we were trying to decide if we wanted to go see it yesterday because we were out. It was a really hot day. Today is a hot day as well too.
Yeah.
But whether, since we were already out, did we just want to drive around a little bit and wait for the next showing of the movie or wait till tomorrow? Because we weren't going to leave the apartment twice.
No.
And we ended up going yesterday.
We did.
And before we even get into the movie, I have to admit something to myself.
Yes.
Even though my birthday is a month and 6 days from now, I have to look at myself in the black mirror and admit to myself I am old. I'm getting older. And it's not just from getting balder up top, embrace the skullet.
Exactly.
I would say I'm getting fatter, but I'm not getting fatter.
No,
I'm losing weight.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like I'm 400 pounds. And I was darn near close to 400 before, so it's not just me exaggerating.
Right.
When I look at myself, I don't feel like I've lost a pound, even though all the clothes fit better, the seatbelt actually fits on me again, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I fell asleep during a movie in a movie theater.
You did.
I am old. I am old. 35 years old, and I'm still learning every day. And it turns out I am old. Yes. When we get to talking about a little bit more about the movie, I fell asleep during a very quiet, slow part.
Yeah.
And I was just about to start snoring.
Yeah, there's a light snore I heard. I'm like, oh, shoot.
And you woke me up immediately.
I did.
Although every other time after that, I was struggling. I could feel my head just like bobbling all around. And I was still struggling because, of the kerfluffle that happened, I got probably less than 3 hours sleep.
Yeah.
And what's a better idea than going to a darkened, air-conditioned, nice, comfy seated movie?
Recliners.
With recliners,
seats.
Heated seats, a big old thing of Powerade I was drinking.
Yeah.
A little bit of popcorn. popcorn as well.
Popcorn, yep.
Which I hate how much prices are right now. I'm not sure
ridiculous.
how if you go to the movies right now, it might be different for you. And if you've experienced this and it's cheaper or more expensive, please let us know. But before tax, a large popcorn and a large drink is $15.50.
Which is ridiculous.
Now, where you are, is it cheaper than that or is it more expensive? And if it is more expensive, you don't have to list where it is, or unless you want to, but please let us know where we sit in Minnesota when it comes to refreshments.
Yeah.
Because I am so curious to see what it is around the U.S. But yeah, very quiet part. I fell asleep, you woke me up, and I was struggling the rest of the time.
Yeah.
But all of those things combined just made me more tired.
Yeah.
And I felt very peppy before we went into the movie theater too.
You
It's like,
did.
yeah, I could probably sit through a movie. What? It's only an hour and 40 minutes. Yeah, that'll be fine.
Right. Well, because I brought it up, I'm like, you didn't get much sleep. Are you sure you want to go? And you're like, yeah, I got
I'm
energy.
fine.
I'm fine.
And I wasn't.
No.
I wasn't. But anyways, on to the actual movie. Now, this is another one where I was kind of surprised about what it actually was.
Yeah.
Given what I thought it was, given the name, I thought this movie was going to be about spiders. It's called Long Legs, so it made me think of the Big Daddy Long Legs.
Yeah, it
which
makes sense.
Which
Makes
is a type
sense.
of spider. Used to get a lot of them in my house.
Ugh.
Although they do help with eating insects.
Well,
so,
that's
don't
something.
always kill spiders because they do get rid of the other bugs and stuff. Do, do, do.
The more you know.
Shooting star, twinkle, twinkle, twinkle. But no, this was horror, but it was also a crime thriller. 2 horror/crime thriller movies in a week.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
I was good with it. Especially considering both were kind of taking place during different times. Like we said, Maxine was very 80s. Longlegs was very, very early 90s. And like I was telling you about this after the movie, like I was born in 81. So like when the early 90s hit, that's when I was like more in the know about news going on and stuff. And like, this was the time, like I was telling you, of like Jacob Wetterling and like other missing kids and stuff like
That's
that.
a local
and, like,
Minnesota thing, but it did make national attention.
It did. And like all these like, serial killer stuff was like becoming more prominent in the news and stuff, and it definitely just captured that so well. So it was interesting to kind of go through that.
And it was neon, so it was a little artsy fartsy as well too, with like the production styles and stuff. Like they use those old 7mm film filters and stuff like that. I mean, that's what neon does.
Yeah.
I mean, they did that in Bratz as well.
Yeah.
Like they cut to like the old school cameras and stuff from like the 60s for some reason and stuff like that. Or it was just filters online. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I don't think they actually used the cameras to do that. Yeah, I just realized we never talked about that movie. We saw that too, and I don't think we talked about it.
I don't think we did either.
It lives up to the title.
It does.
Yeah, brats being brats. And anyone who is complaining about them being brats at this age, it was in the title.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, back to Longlegs. Nick Cage, his creepiest role, maybe?
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, there's been a lot of them where he gets creepy or scary or, he just Nick Cages all over it. This one, I'm kind of surprised. The song Bang a Gong by T-Rex is predominantly featured and is a real big story arc of the entire movie.
Yeah, yeah.
I felt like it should have been Running with the Devil because I felt like Nick Cage was trying to be David Lee Roth if he was a murderer. Think about it.
Oh, gosh.
The way he screams, the way he moves, it seems like he was trying to be David Lee Roth.
Maybe.
The hair.
Yeah, I can loosely see where you're coming from, but I don't necessarily agree.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That said, the T-Rex influences were great.
It was.
From beginning to end, there's T-Rex references. And of course, another side note, being a musician and, well, a former musician and a former drummer, if you want to look at it that way. I noticed this, bang a gong, there's no gong.
Yeah.
But anyways, getting back into the Nick Cage of it all, might be his creepiest, but how did you feel about his portrayal? Like, was this one of his better roles that he had? One of the worst ones? Somewhere in the middle?
I mean, I guess I'll start by saying he's not heavily featured in the movie. I mean...
Well, don't give it away.
Well, people are getting spoilers right now. I mean,
I know, and we shouldn't have to be the ones to spoil it for people.
Well, that's not too much of a spoiler. But I would say this is more of a stretch than a lot lot of his other roles because he did take on such a different persona this time and looks wise too. I think it's one of his better roles though. I mean, I think he just did such a good job like portraying this monster, you know? Yeah.
All right, let's just call a spade here. Nick Cage is not the star of the movie. He's a supporting actor there. But it also does feature some satanic stuff. I mean, that's in the trailers.
Yeah.
So that's not giving anything away either. But yeah, it was more of like a crime thriller with some really horrific moments that happen in it. But overall, I would say it is a slow burn of a movie.
Yeah.
And I think it's the best slow burn movie since The Witch.
Yeah, I could see that.
Late Night with the Devil is very, very close in that aspect, with it being a very slow burn and then it just starts to really pay off.
Yeah.
But I feel like Longlegs did it better and the best I've seen since The Witch.
Well, I feel like with Late Night with the Devil, that one, like, it's a slow burn it, but it does unravel a little bit more as it goes, whereas...
That's the literal definition of a slow burn.
But, like, Longlegs, I feel like it doesn't unravel till, like, the end, you know? Whereas Late Night with the Devil is a little bit more of a build-up.
Okay.
Yeah, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what did you think overall of Longlegs?
Oh, I absolutely loved it. I loved everything about it. I don't, we won't give away like what the storyline stuff was, but like, I'm not. But again, I love the setting of this early 90s crime kind of stuff going on, but then mixed with the satanic side is so up my alley. Nick Cage character is absolutely... Nick Cage's character.
Well, it's the Nick Cage.
The Nick Cage character is absolutely vile and like crazy in it, and I love that. And I love that like at the end of the movie they tie things together very well, which they don't always do in a lot of movies. And they did a really good job with that in this one.
And I really hope this is the kind of movie that is just one movie.
Yeah.
I feel like there could be more to this.
There could be.
Like, not everything's definitive.
Yeah.
They could do something off of it, but I really don't want them to. I think it just ended so perfectly the way that it did.
I agree.
But, a lot of people have been talking about Longlegs. I know it's been going viral and stuff like that. And, of course, people talking about the Nick Cage of it all. But, if you were on the fence of seeing it, I guess I would say if you like slow burns, check this one out. If you don't like slow burns, potentially still see it if you're a Nick Cage fan and you like seeing him go bonkers, because this really shows off like some of the most extreme bonkiness Nick Cage has ever done.
Yeah.
So if you are a fan of the Nick Cage style like that, go see it for that reason. But really, if you're a slow burn horror fan, check this one out.
Definitely.
So other stuff that we've done together, we saw the penultimate episode of season 4 of The Boys.
We did.
It just keeps getting crazier and crazier in all these different ways.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. There's definitely parts that are tugging at your heartstring with it too, even though it gets crazier in other ways. Like, I'm just so curious how they're going to end this season.
And I'm so curious how they're going to wrap everything up. When we were watching the first 3 episodes, when they all dropped together the same day, I gave my theory on what was going to happen at the end. I'm not sure if you remember that.
No, I don't.
I'll tell you again off air.
Okay.
But I still think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But, well, not the end of this season. I mean the series overall.
Right, yeah.
But, for this season, like, I can't fathom how they're going to end it. Like, they're in such a strange position right now. Like, how do you wrap this up in a little over an hour?
Yeah.
And then how do you build it up to what the final season is going to be all about? It just blows my mind.
It does.
But it is one of my favorite superhero ventures out there.
Definitely.
I just love how it makes fun of everything that's going on in the state of the world right now. It makes fun of superheroes in general.
Yes.
And if you can't make fun of yourself, then what are you doing?
It's true.
And speaking of that, just 2 weeks from yesterday will be Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes, I'm so excited.
I know there's more trailers out there. I don't want to see them.
Yeah.
Because the one thing Marvel does more than anybody else is give away the entire movie premise in the trailer.
Yes, they do.
I don't want to know what happens.
Yeah.
I know it exists. I love the previous 2 Deadpool movies. And I'm very curious where Logan comes into all of this because, obviously the movie Logan, I think enough years have gone by. And of course, if you know about the story, he dies at the end.
Right.
So, like, where in the timeline, or is that even canon anymore?
Yeah.
That's the one thing I've learned from, like, Deadpool and Wolverine. It seems like they're going to be messing with the canon a lot. They're messing with the multiverses and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I keep seeing this meme go around of, like, people saying, so-and-so will not be featured in Deadpool versus Wolverine. So they started adding, like, different people. Like, Taylor Swift will not be in Deadpool versus Wolverine. And Fred Durst will not be in Deadpool versus Wolverine. And all this kind of stuff. So I've noticed that meme trend going on. But I'm very, very curious about that one. That's probably the next movie we would go see, right?
Yeah,
unless I'm missing out on something.
I think that's it.
Yeah. And again, with how much movie prices are going up and everything, you know, we got to be a little more sparingly.
Exactly.
You know, the A24 films, they're going to be on Max 6 weeks later. So maybe we could just wait the 6 weeks. Before we get into other parts, that should also remind me of kind of a segue.
Yeah.
We did a little Amazon Prime order this morning.
We did.
And given our couch situation, we've had it for just about 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's been falling apart.
Yeah. It still looks good, but...
It still looks good, but everything's falling apart. Laying down on it, all you feel is the wood and the metal. You don't even feel the cushion anymore.
It's true.
When we put our feet up in the recliner, we only feel the wood. All the cushion is like completely smushed out.
Yes.
It kind of looks like Play-Doh when you squeeze it in your hands and it goes in between your fingers.
Yeah.
That's what the cushion looks like. So we got ourselves a couple of cheap ottomans.
We did.
Yeah, 2 for $20, right?
2 for 30.
Or two for 30, so like 15 a piece for ottomans. And it'll be nice to actually be able to like kick back, both of us be able to kick back with our feet up.
And extra storage.
Extra storage. We can actually sit back and watch movies and be a little more comfortable now.
Exactly.
That sounds pretty nice.
It does. I'm excited.
And that was why I brought it up, because, you know, it's like we can watch more movies and be more comfortable this way, both of us, hopefully at this point.
Definitely.
But I still say we need to either get a new couch or just give in to the fact that we're old and get a couple of lazy boy recliners. And
the
get
ones
them
that help you stand up.
Yes. And make them the most comfortable ones they possibly can.
Exactly.
That's what I want.
That would be nice.
I think there's only one more thing that we've done together before we go separates on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would be basically the only wrestling that we watch from beginning to end nowadays.
Yep.
Because even with GCW, as much as I enjoy it, we've been skipping a lot of it when we go through it on Triller.
Because the thing is, so often when they have like weekends where they have matches, they have 2 or 3 events in a row, and it's pretty much the same people each night. I mean, they change up the matches a little bit, but it's like, oh, that's a lot, you know?
It's the same local talent that isn't really a part of GCW, just the ones that could fly out for the weekend to do certain things.
Yeah.
And there are matches that I still love enjoying, like Danhausen versus Microman. I thought that was a great match that ended up being Mask versus Mask, which I thought was hilarious. But there's only one promotion that we watch from beginning to end nowadays, and it is, of course, Hood Slam, based out of Oakland.
So good.
This is real. This is real. For anyone not familiar with Hood Slam, it completely takes the P out of professional wrestling. You know, like it just makes fun of every aspect of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And you either get it or you don't get it.
Yeah.
We get it.
We get it.
And that's why we enjoy it so much.
We're smarks.
And the other reason I've seen a lot of backlash towards Hood Slam is because of how pro LGBTQ plus friendly it is.
Well,
which I would say about 75% of the roster fits in there some way, shape, or form, if not more.
There's a chunk at least, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anybody who feels that way can F off.
Yes. Well, but the point was, it's about inclusion.
Yeah.
AEW used to be about inclusion.
They claimed they were.
Yeah. And then they slowly but surely started taking all that away. And this beats GCW as far as inclusion because of all the different types of people that are involved with it.
Yeah.
Yes, there are straight people in it too, but it's also not just about the sexuality or the gender identity about it.
Yeah.
It's everyone coming together to be in this goofy folklore of Hood Slam.
Yes.
Which this past or on Tuesday when it comes out Tuesday night late, and then we watch it Wednesday after you're done with work.
Yeah.
This week was one of the craziest episodes that they've done in quite some time.
Yes, yes.
And you got some of the results, and you're embarrassed to say that I have to fill you in with some of the rest of it.
Yeah, well, I have all the results, but I just don't remember, like, the stuff that happened in between and stuff like that.
Right.
So.
Well, you might remember once I bring it up.
Well, yeah, then yes, but bringing it up myself. So the first match, this was the Resist pay-per-view, not pay-per-view, but whatever you want to call it.
It's like, it's their monthly show.
Yeah, so if you do want to check it out, this is Resist.
And if you go on Trailer TV Plus, get it for a month. It costs $7.99.
Yeah.
Not just to watch Hood Slam, to watch everything, which includes GCW, so many other indie wrestling promotions. Or if you're into MMA and boxing, they got that stuff too. But of course, we're just here for the pro wrestling.
Exactly. So first match was Laura Fraser against Helen Charlotte Campbell, and Laura Fraser defeated Helen.
Yes, this was just a basic one-on-one match. Really, I thought it was a good match.
It was a good match. A lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. Like, Helen was like bad A.
Well, she's from the UK. She's like one of those like no-nonsense type characters.
Yeah, definitely.
But obviously the more homegrown talent was going to win in this situation because they got story to tell.
That is
and
true.
Boy, do they have story to tell, as you'll hear once we continue on.
Okay. The second match was a Best Athlete in the East Bay title match with Kenny K, who's the champion, defeating Joey Gonzo.
Well, he still is champion as well.
I'm saying going into it, he was.
Right, he was champion going in, and he's champion going out as well.
Yep, I know.
And I thought it was a really good match. Of course, the funniest part to me is Joey Gonzo comes out to like I think it's Wu-Tang Clan, if I remember correctly, but they sample the original Godzilla theme.
Yes.
And of course, I still like the old lady's calling when I hear the Godzilla theme.
Well,
you think of the ringtone.
Yeah, ever since we watched like the first of the more recent Godzilla movies, I was like, you should put this as my ringtone.
Dun, dun, dun. Old lady's calling.
Yes.
Of course, I would have no one to do that around. It would only be a joke for me.
Yeah.
But,
You'd
still.
get a giggle at least.
But there was a lot of like high-flying stuff that was going on. They were actually jumping into the crowd and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy stuff.
It was a very active match.
Oh, and the one thing that you should know about Hood Slam is they do live commentary for the crowd.
Yes.
And the live stream. And Anton Voorhees, who was the one who did it the first time that we watched Hood Slam, did it again.
He is the best.
He probably is the best commentator that they have. And he's also a wrestler as well.
Yeah.
And he also refers to himself as a stupid hoe, right? Or dumb hoe.
Dumb hoe.
Dumb hoe, yeah.
Yeah.
He also sold the half jacket that he was wearing for $60 to some guy in the crowd.
And he is not against getting down and picking up dollars that people throw in the ring.
Yeah, the referees do it. Other wrestlers do it. Like, they throw actual money into the ring and then they'll put them in their trunks.
Yes. It's hilarious.
And there was a lot of that going on this time.
Then the third match was the Intergalactic Tag Team Titles match with the Emo Heads, which is D-Torch and Rob Hands, defeating the Caution, which is Dark Sheik and Vipers.
Yes, I think Dark Sheik and Vipers are at least on-screen relationship.
Yeah.
If not real life.
I don't know about real life, but I know...
Well, they have no problem making out with each other in front of the crowd and stuff.
They have some kind of relationship.
Like, in WWE, you might see something like that, and you'll get, like, those old 80s, 90s sitcom feels behind it, like the whoo. But no, those two were like macking on each other for quite a while.
Well, let's be honest. In Hood Slam, like anybody makes out with anybody. There are no like lines in the wrestling ring. Like anybody will
it's
make
a
out
part
with
of the
anybody.
inclusion.
Exactly.
And it just puts a smile on your face unless you're a terrible human being.
Exactly.
This was a really good tag team match. Of course, the emo heads come out to Papa Roach, which is so appropriate for everything that's going on. It ended up being a no contest, really.
Yeah.
Because there was some shenanigans that started happening during it, because there's this whole folklore that's been going on. The emo head's partner, Brooke Havoc, supposedly several months ago, there's a well backstage at where they do Hood Slam. Supposedly. You have to play into it, folks. You have to play into it.
Yeah.
And a few months back, someone supposedly pushed Brooke Havoc into the well.
And she's been there ever since.
She hasn't been doing any local indie promotions or just like Anton saying I don't know how she got more buff sitting in a well this whole time. It's not like she went over to Japan and got buffer.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But over the last few months, this has been a huge storyline of who pushed Brooke Havoc down the well. Well, we did find out.
Yes.
Now, before we started watching, because we started watching during WrestleMania weekend.
Yes.
Apparently, the month before, they had these two supposed FBI agents that come out to the X-Files theme that were trying to do an expose on the emo heads. And the guy known as Agent 1 came out and said, all right, I figured out who it was.
Yeah.
I can't believe it took me this long. I figured it out in 5 minutes. And then all of a sudden, Agent 2 comes out
Yes.
and starts stabbing him to death
Yes.
with like fake blood spurting out everywhere with one of those fake prop knives where the knife goes into the actual handle. You know, it's fake, but then like fake blood is like coming out, just like stabbing him everywhere.
Yes.
It turns out that Agent 2, was the one that pushed her down the well.
Yes.
Which led into
The fourth match, which was Brooke Havoc, defeating FBE agent number 2.
yeah, supposedly just like sitting in a well for like 3-4 months. After climbing out of it the same night. We forgot to mention that part. She climbed out of it during the previous match.
Exactly.
Ring style.
Yes.
Not wrestling ring style. I mean ringu.
Yes.
Where she like climbed out of it. And,
Yes.
you know, we're all cursed in the next 7 days. We're all going to die.
Yeah.
But yeah, after doing all of that, she was fit to perform in a wrestling match. And defeated that agent that pushed her down the well.
She did. She got her comeuppance.
And that is how you solve everything in wrestling.
It is.
It's not getting the cops involved. It's not going to court. It's not an eye for an eye trying to kill them.
No.
It's pinning or submitting your opponent in the middle of the ring.
Settle things in the ring.
Exactly. That's how you provoke dominance. And that's not even the craziest stuff that happened during the show.
And then with the fifth match, it was the Glam title match in which Ashton Starr defeated Brittany Wonder with a title change.
Now, actually 2 title changes, because the original person that had the Glam title was not able to defend the title.
Right.
So apparently Anton's long distance partner came out and was just like, oh, can you give me the title? I just want to feel the title. And then hands them the title and said, well, this is mine now. And then tries to run away. And then a former Glam champion came out and challenged them to a match to find out who would really be the champion.
Yeah.
And that's how that all worked out. And I mean, it was a long way to go about them just keeping the title that was basically handed to them.
Yeah.
But it was a good match.
Yeah, it was.
It was really fun to watch.
Sixth match was a 3-way match for the Hood Slam Championship.
No. Championship.
Yes, championship match.
It is literally a pirate ship in a glass bottle.
Yes.
It is the championship.
It's so good. In which Mac Daddy Milo defeated Richard.
Who is a pirate?
Yes. Defeated Richard Shanary.
Do you get it, folks? Richard Shanary, who's also a member of Blood Bond 64.
Yes. And Saraya Saber.
Who came out to Dragon Force.
Yeah, wasn't expecting that.
I was not. Well, she made her debut at Hood Slam, and then hearing Dragon Force like blasting through there, I was not expecting that.
No, not at all.
And of course, I think it's The Power of the Saber, I think is the name of the song.
I think so. Something like that.
Yeah, and you know, with her last name being Saber, you know, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And the real Saraya, the one true Saraya in wrestling, which I
Yes.
really appreciated
I
so
know.
much.
Yes.
And of course, Richard Shanary, you know, he's had quite the folklore of stuff happening to him over the last few months.
That is true.
Although the last month or two, he hasn't really been seen much, but it was nice to see him back.
Yeah.
And of course, seeing many members of Blood Bond 64.
Exactly.
I'm still waiting for the other 60 members. There's 4 members that we know of.
I know.
In Blood Bond 64.
There's so many
But
we
there's
don't.
64 people in this faction. And we're still waiting to see who the other 60 are.
Exactly. Up next, with the 7th match, we had Juice Lee defeating Serial Man.
Oh, there's so much that happened with this. Well,
Yes.
first of all, the therapist came out.
Yes.
Dr. Von Erie and Grief Counselor Marco.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Grief Counselor Marco has one of the greatest shirts ever.
Yes.
A new, it's an acronym for like positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a new something that's starts with an A, life. And of course, what are the initials to that? Anal.
Yes.
And that's how it's spelled out. And it's in the AEW fonts, which I find to be even funnier.
Yes. It's so good.
I know what I'm getting for my birthday.
Maybe.
But they've been having an ongoing story with Serial Man from the Milky Way galaxy. Serial Man gave birth in the middle of the ring to Serial Baby.
Yeah.
And there's only one rule in Hood Slam. What is that rule?
No children allowed.
No, don't bring your effing kids.
Well, yeah. Mhm.
And of course, a baby is a kid.
Yeah.
So he had his baby taken away from him by the therapist.
Yes.
And last month there was a whole kerfluffle that happened with that as well. And then this time, the Serial Man just wanted to come back out, get his baby back because, he's an ex-felon just trying to get his kid back.
Exactly.
But there was a stipulation. If he could defeat Juice Lee, which, just look at his name, you can tell who he's trying to model himself after. If he could beat Juice Lee, he would get his kid back. But he didn't.
No.
He lost to Juice Lee. But also, at the same time, Juice Lee didn't want the baby.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be a father. He didn't want to do the match. But he was forced to do it anyways. And instead of just laying on the ground, he just did a real match.
Right.
And after the match, he asked the crowd, should I just give Serial Baby back to Serial Man? And the whole crowd just starts erupting.
Yeah.
And he decides to give Serial Baby back to Serial Man.
Yeah.
Who's dressed up like Tony the Tiger. He's got the tiger stripes this time around and stuff. He comes out as different cereal depending on the month and stuff like that. This time it was Frosted Flakes, which was just great.
They're great.
You saw what I was going for. And after just a few seconds of being able to hold his plastic baby doll child with a cereal box on his head,
Yes.
Dr. Von Eerie came out with a knife, with one of her heels, and started stabbing the baby to death.
Yes. It was so sad.
And Boo Berry cereal just started pouring all over the ring from the box. Just stabbing the baby with her shoe. And it's just everyone's in dismay. Serial Man had to be carried out by security because he didn't have the means to stand up by himself.
Yes.
But also, the therapists do come back later in the show.
They do. With the 8th and final match.
Yeah, they took a very quick break, and the therapist came right back.
Yes.
And they had a new patient, Mansoor.
Yes.
Apparently, Mansoor has been feeling very, very sad that nobody wants him around in Hood Slam anymore.
Yeah.
The fans turned on him, his friends turned on him, all of this stuff. And through the magic of their horrible, horrible therapy, he reached an epiphany that he doesn't need anybody except for one person.
Yeah.
Which leads into
The final match of MXM.
which is a Maximum Male Models.
Almost.
That's
their team name, but
Yeah.
it is Mansoor and Mason Madden.
who is the former Mace of WWE, if you watch that.
And they defeated the Stoner brothers, which are Rick Scott Stoner and Scott Rick Stoner.
Obviously, if you're an old school wrestling fan, you know who they're making fun of here.
Exactly.
And they're also members of Blood Bond 64.
Yes.
So it's Anton Voorhees, Richard Shineri, and the Stoner Brothers. And by all accounts, he would have thought the Stoner Brothers would have won this one.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
Right.
And there's also rumors that Mansoor and the former Mace have signed with AEW and Ring of Honor.
That is interesting.
So that kind of just ruins all the storylines of Hood Slam going forward.
I know. I'm kind of sad. I like them.
Me too. Despite the fact that WWE played Mansoor to be a very different person than who he actually was in real life. Yeah. And we don't watch AEW or Ring of Honor anymore. A, we don't have cable anymore. And B, we don't want to pay for any programming that would have it because we just simply stopped enjoying it.
Exactly.
And that was more or less everything that happened during Hood Slam. Now, the reason why I find it so curious that they got signed to AEW and Ring of Honor is because their faces are plastered on the promo for next month's Hood Slam.
Yeah.
So are they still going to be there?
I hope so. I mean,
I know they can do indie dates, but, that's not always the case.
that is true.
So what did you think of Hood Slam this time around?
Oh, thoroughly enjoyable. They're always enjoyable. They're always hilarious and just a good time.
Yeah, it's comedy wrestling with a whole bunch of folklore, all licensed music for the most part people come out to, a lot of swearing, and of course the number one rule of Hood Slam is don't bring your effing kids.
Yes.
if you just want to take something that is not meant to be taken seriously at all, despite the counts of something so strange, so quirky, so funny that happens, and the crowd just starts chanting, "This is real. This is real." I recommend it.
Yeah.
It's just a fun way to look at wrestling.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, we usually start with what we did separately, and then we go into what we did together.
Yeah.
But, we had our Kerfluffle, so I figured we would kind of just end things differently here. I'll go first with this.
Sounds good.
Bunch of interviews fell through, so I just played Starfield.
Yeah.
That's been my week outside of the normal business stuff for heavy debriefings.
Yeah.
How about you?
On my end, I've been playing Romance Club still. I started a new story in there, Heaven's Secret, where you're like, you die and you go to like this school up above that's for like angels and demons in training. And you basically like your choices determine whether you become an angel or a demon. And there's like lots of like big fights between like angels and demons that like you have to deal with and stuff. And it's very interesting. Outside of that,
when did you turn into a weeb is what I want to know.
What's a weeb?
Oh, it's one of the names for people who really enjoy anime and hentai and all that stuff.
It's not anime or hentai.
It sounds like it from everything that you've just described.
Not at all, though. At all. Because it's all like, it's Romance Club, so like, it's about building connections with dudes too, and like finding your suitor and stuff.
Right, but we've seen those PlayStation sales. You know,
I know.
One of the biggest things that they sell is constantly on sale is...
Yeah,
is
I
what?
know. Yeah, dirty games.
Well, the romance stuff, yeah. Or those really simple, like a Sudoku or crossword or something where you figure it out and she takes off a piece of clothing.
This is different, though. This is different.
Okay.
Anywho.
Okay.
Outside of that, I've also been playing a couple different sniper games on my phone. And
what?
I love them. So,
that's not like you at all.
I know. So, yeah.
For one thing, I've always known you to be a bow and arrow girl.
Yeah, I know. But there's something fun about being a sniper. Because it's still being sleuthy, you know? But it's more aggressive.
Okay.
And outside of that, I've had my Chromebook for a week.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that. We got a Chromebook.
Yeah.
We talked about that last week's show. We kept waiting to see if it was going to be coming that night. Turned out it was the next night. The next day we got the Chromebook.
Exactly.
And you've been fiddle farting around with that for quite a while now.
Have.
What did you think?
I like it a lot. It's a lot better than my laptop I had because I don't use it for much. I don't like have like tons of programs or anything. It's just kind of basic things, so it's really all I need. And I might try doing some streaming of Xbox Game Pass through it. And maybe you can allude me to turn me on to some sniper games through there.
Sniper Elite.
Okay, I will try that.
I know they're on PlayStation. I gotta assume they're on Xbox as well. And of course, you could always buy the games as well too.
Yeah.
But Sniper Elite is exactly what you're looking for.
Okay.
I got one of the games free on PlayStation like years ago during the monthly free games and stuff. So
yeah.
There's also Borderlands, and you can finally play those, even though they're also on the Switch.
Fallout's on there too. Yeah, there's a lot of games.
Yeah,
there's a lot of games I want to play. So
yeah, especially with Game Pass, and you saw how many of them are streamable through a Chromebook. Not saying it's going to be good quality, not saying it's not going to have its own problems with it.
I mean, if I can play Skyrim on Switch and be happy with it, I think I'll be happy with this too.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Holy jumped up frickin' Jesus, I just realized that we've been talking so much about our past week and the kerfluffles and all the stuff that's been going on. We haven't even gotten to the news yet, and it's been almost an hour.
Yeah.
So we should probably get into the news at some point.
It's going to be a long show.
See, every time we talk about wrestling and we get into the details, that always adds like another 20 minutes to the conversation.
At least.
But yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so we'll start with the downer news. We had a few celebrity deaths this week.
3 deaths.
Up first was Benji Gregory, who you may know.
Not the one from Good Charlotte. No. That's not his last name.
No.
I don't even think they spelled Benji the same.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyways,
Did you know Benji's married to Cameron Diaz?
Yeah, and then his brother's married to Nicole Richie.
Yeah. If that doesn't fit lifestyles of the rich and the famous, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
Something I learned in the past week, by the way.
Back into this. So Benji Gregory, you might know best as the child star from from the TV show Elf.
Well, who was he in Elf?
He was Brian. Yes, he was the little boy, and then of course they had the older sister Lynn and the parents, and then of course Elf, who I loved.
Oh yeah. I like to eat cats.
Right? But sadly he passed away. He died of suspected heat stroke in his car in Arizona. He was found in his car in a bank parking lot. They've been having, obviously they have high temperatures during this time of year every year, but it was back in June 13th that he was found, where they had a record high of 111 degrees that day, which is just terrible. And unfortunately, he also had his service dog with him as well, which is super sad that they both passed away. So very, very sad to see him go.
Yeah, I loved Elf, and I don't want to say this is true, but I've been hearing things that the whole Tanner family is gone now.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure. I haven't kept up, but...
That is really sad, because that was just the 80s.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Ugh.
But Elf is still around.
Yes.
And he's back.
In pog form.
In pog form.
Shelley Duvall also passed away, very well known from The Shining. She died at 75 in her home in Texas. Of course, she did a lot of other roles too. She was in Popeye with Robin Williams. And
did you ever watch that?
I never saw that.
I saw that so many times as a kid.
Did you? And then she also worked with Robert Altman a lot, but then she kind of stepped away in the 90s. She did have a role back in 2023 I saw in The Forest Hills, but I'm not familiar with that.
That is such a tragic story with her,
yeah.
And especially because of The Shining, with all the manipulation and scare tactics that they actually used on her for real.
Yup.
In The Shining.
Yeah.
And the worst part about it is, like, some of the times where she was like at her most terrified, they didn't even use.
Yeah.
So they did all of that for nothing, just to traumatize her for the rest of her days.
It's super sad.
It is.
And then finally, Dr. Ruth Westheimer, who is an acclaimed sex therapist, died at 96.
So obviously, the secret to a long, healthy life is do it to it. I'm talking downtown.
Now, she has an interesting upbringing. She was orphaned at the age of 10 during the Holocaust, so she was a Holocaust survivor.
Yeah, she was. I remember that from the Stern Show.
And then she was trained as a sniper for the Jewish underground.
I would love to see them make a movie about the Jewish underground, because there are so many stories that could be told about what's happened, especially things like that.
Yeah. And of course, later on in her life, she went on to work for Planned Parenthood of New York City, and graduated from Columbia University, and worked in radio and TV and kind of everywhere. And I found one nice line from her that I wanted to share, one quote about like having gone through so much in her life.
The way for a perfect orgasm?
No.
Oh.
No.
Because she covers that too.
Sure, she does. Quote, "You have to keep an upbeat attitude. You have problems. I know them. I have problems too. I'm saying make the best out of every day that you have." It's just a good outlook for somebody who went through so much,
Something I could never, ever compare myself to.
Yeah.
And especially with all the struggles that we've been through in the past week, both separately and together, that is nice to hear.
It is. It is. So moving on
from that. Real downer to see three very different type of people in entertainment gone, but still.
Definitely.
So we got anything lighter, or is it all just heavy this week?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this is lighter than celebrity deaths, yes, but
or is it?
So going back to Maxine, Mia Goth is being sued by one of the extras. They had shared details of a battery incident that happened. The actor is James Hunter. He claimed that Mia kicked him in the head and verbally assaulted him in a porta potty during the production of the horror film.
Yeah, I was wondering if we were going to talk about this during our thoughts on the movie, but it was probably better just to do it in the news. But I did want to allude to it, and that's why I was asking so many things about like the Mia Goth thing, because it's just like, is she going to be treated like an A-list celebrity with this, where nothing happens? Or is she going to face any justice for this? Or is it all blown out of proportion?
Yeah, well, from what I've seen, like everybody like on the movie side, like the production and everything, they all fully support Mia and are like that completely didn't happen and stuff, but who knows?
Well, when I hear stuff like this, I do wonder, it's kind of the same thing, with the roles reversed, where women go like, well, why didn't you just report it?
Yeah.
You hear that so often.
That's true.
Like, how come he didn't report afford it. I mean, but the reason I say that is because you're taking them to claims court, not criminal court.
Yeah.
So if it's assault and battery, why would you sue them
Right.
rather than go to the cops?
Yeah. Yeah. It's confusing.
Especially when it is so recent as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that feels like you can poke holes into all of this. And also, why would she beat up or verbally assault someone in a porta potty? Do you know how small those porta potties are?
I know. Oh.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a head scratcher.
Yeah.
Moving on, Xbox is making some changes to their plans, prices, and other changes as well.
Now strap in for this because this is very, very confusing.
Yeah, so as of this previous Wednesday, Xbox's Game Pass Ultimate level will raise its price by $3 per month.
In the US.
In the US, going from $16.99 to $19.99 for new customers. The core tier is going to raise from $59.99 for the 12-month pass up to $69.99 for the annual fee.
Now, do you have the differences between the different tiers?
I know I have some stuff, so
okay.
Let me go through this and then you can fill in any pieces I missed.
Right on.
Then beginning on September 12th, the price will also change for existing members on their next recurring bill charge. The new Game Pass Standard plan will be launching soon as well, which will offer more features than the core, but fewer than the Ultimate tier.
Well, do you have the differences between those two? That's why I was like bringing that up.
Let me see. I don't know what all I have. So.
Well, the core is like you get 25 games for free and it also covers online.
Okay.
The standard, or what's going to be the standard, is all of the games that are on Game Pass right now, except they will not be having day one releases anymore.
Yep, I was going to get to that.
Okay. And the ultimate is what we have right now. And that's going to be the most expensive, but that's the only place you'll be able to play the day one releases through Game Pass.
Also, Game Pass for console will no longer be available for new members, but those who are already subscribed and have autopay enabled will continue to have access.
And if you cancel it, you won't be able to get it back.
Yes.
What do you think of this?
I think it's stupid. I mean, everything just keeps going up in price and I don't want to pay anymore. And the fact that they're like limiting where the new games are coming to and stuff is pretty crummy.
Well, I mean, just think about it last month during Summer Games Fest. They had their Xbox showcase and they were talking about things like the brand new Call of Duty Black Ops 6 or whatever it is. I don't really play them unless they're free on PlayStation.
Yeah.
But that's going to be on Game Pass. And they said it was going to be available day one on Game Pass.
Yup.
Now they have to put an asterisk behind it where it's available on Game Pass Ultimate now.
Exactly.
And wouldn't you know it, that change in September is 1 month before the game comes out.
Yeah.
Who'd have thunk it?
I know. Such a coincidence.
But yeah, they gotta make back that $75 billion or whatever that was to buy Activision and all that stuff. And also, I will say $3 more for Ultimate is a lot better than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like 25 or 30. So I think it's gonna get there.
Yeah, it will.
But for right now, that's better than what I thought it was gonna be.
That is true.
And especially when they start putting in all the Activision games, all the Blizzard games, all the King games, it might be worth it to get Ultimate.
Maybe.
But also at the same time, as we've been discussing our fiduciary stuff,
Yes.
might just be cheaper to get the games you want to buy.
Exactly. It depends on how much you play in there and stuff, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you only play all those kinds of games that are available on Game Pass, like you, like playing Skyrim,
Yeah.
that's all you play.
Yeah.
So that could work for you.
Yeah.
And especially when you get the special edition, which is available on Game Pass as well.
Yes.
So it'll run better. It might not crash every 15, 20 minutes like what you do on the Switch.
It's true.
All that stuff. But also on the PlayStation side, you know, like even though a few months ago we decided, hey, apparently if we just spend another $20 we can get the premium, I think it's premium is the highest one for PlayStation. I could get that for like 200 some days until it switches over again. So, you know, $20 some, that's like the price of a a game on a game on sale, so why not try it?
Exactly.
But once that's done, going right back down to the bottom tier again.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have such a big catalog of back games that they've given away for free, I would get rid of that as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't game online.
Yeah.
I don't have friends. I mean, I have friends that game online, but we've never played online, and they don't seem interested and all that other stuff. And I like my single player games.
Me too.
Unless I'm playing against you on the couch.
Exactly.
I don't want to buy a headset just to be able to play games and stuff like that. I got surround sound set up here for a reason. If I could have just had that with a headset to begin with, I would have done that to begin with, but I don't like things covering my ears when I could just sit at home and relax.
Yeah, makes sense. Up next, Redbox is shutting down. Last month, their parent company, Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment,
Which I am so shocked that they were that big of a conglomerate.
I know.
To buy something like that.
Yeah, but they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, reporting nearly $1 billion in debt to multiple media businesses and retailers, including Sony Pictures Home Entertainment and Walgreens. This bankruptcy, of course, also means that all of their staff are going to be let go, which is more than 1,000 employees. And this is amidst rumors that the workers didn't receive their paychecks and had medical benefits cut in late June. So lots of bad stuff going around them about them being mismanaged, essentially. Outside of Redbox, CSSE also operated Crackle and Chicken Soup for the Soul streaming platform, along with other TV and movie ventures as well.
Now, did you mention the fact that Redbox is dead now? Like,
Yeah.
all the physical Blu-ray, DVD, red boxes that you see outside of those things are going to be removed.
Yes.
It is the end of an era.
It is.
Like, unless you still have a mom and pop video store,
Yeah.
the days of renting stuff are dead now.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Not that it hasn't been, but just like that was one of the last ways to be able to rent something.
Honestly, I'm surprised.
Physically.
I'm surprised it lasted this long. Like, I think small towns and certain populations probably kept it afloat.
Well, my old hometown of Clear Lake, yeah, that was a big one. They had a Redbox knockoff in the gas station. It was blue, and they only had a couple different things on there. No games, just a couple DVDs at the time.
Yeah.
And we also had a mom and pop video gaming store as well, too, that just rented stuff out.
Yeah.
$3 a night.
Nice.
Which is kind of a ripoff considering what it was at like Blockbuster. It was like $3 for like 5 days.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I never stepped foot in a Blockbuster.
I did. We didn't have one when I was young, but by my teenage years, there was one in the town I grew up in.
And I think I've only used Redbox like once or twice. And one of those was with you.
Yeah, I used it quite a few times.
It was that weird alien movie with Black Widow. I forgot her name. Scarlett Johansson.
Oh,
where she gets naked and seduces losers.
I can't remember the name of it, but yeah.
Yeah. And apparently they cut parts out of the movie in there. So they kind of did the Blockbuster thing where they made it family friendly and cut a lot of stuff out.
Yeah. And when Redbox first started, I did have the mail subscription too. Oh.
Well, if you still want that for games, there is still GameFly where you can rent physical games for free or buy them for very, very cheap.
That's true.
Apparently, you can get Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League for $20 if you get it through GameFly, if you don't mind that it's used.
Well, there you go.
Problem would be buying Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League.
Up next, Arkham Asylum, the TV series, is no longer moving forward at Max. The series spin-off to Matt Reeves' The Batman with Antonio Campos is no longer being moving forward. However, an insider has said that there's a possibility that another version could be developed in the future, but who knows?
I was looking forward to this more than any other DC thing. And that includes all the James Gunn stuff. Mm-hmm. Like an anthology series about all of Batman's rogue gallery.
Yes.
How they became supervillains, how they ended up in Arkham Asylum. That's for me.
Yeah.
And it got taken away.
I know.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm sad too. I mean, I didn't know too much about what I was going to be about and stuff.
I mean, I told you the premise many times.
Yeah, but I mean, you never know what the style's going to be like and stuff, and but I like Batman stuff, so I was excited, so it's a bummer.
And when is Kite Man Hell Yeah coming out? I'm still waiting for that.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be out by now, but me.
What if they had like a silent release and it's on there right now and we didn't know about it?
We had no idea. Well,
I could have sworn I would have saw an ad for it or something.
We will check later. Along the same lines, Horizon Zero Dawn is no longer moving forward with Netflix. They claimed in a Rolling Stone report that there was accusations of bullying and manipulative retaliatory behavior by the showrunner Steve Blackman, so that might add into it a little bit.
From WWF, Steve Blackman?
I have no idea.
The one who always fought Ken Shamrock?
I doubt
he was the martial art guy?
Oh, him, no. I don't think so. I don't think it's him.
I know, it's just a similar name, but that would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would have made a Horizon series be good and not have it look like it was made from sci-fi. Because, like, when you play the games, like, there's a lot of graphical detail that goes into all of it. And especially with all the machines that you gotta fight and stuff like that. It just makes me feel like they were gonna cheap out somewhere.
Yeah.
And I feel like all the robots and the machines involved were just gonna be, like, really poorly made AI kind of stuff. So in that sense, I'm happy it's not going forward.
Yeah.
But I also would have loved to have seen a televised version of the story.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
What about you?
Yeah, I agree. Like it's hard to see how they would have did it, but it would be cool. Would be cool if they came up with a good way to do it.
To be fair, Fallout did it.
Yeah, that's true. And a side note, I did just look up. Kite Man premieres next week on July 18th.
Oh, here we go. All right.
Yeah, finally.
Is it weekly or are they just dropping all of it at once?
I haven't been able to find that yet. So.
All right. Well, we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
But I think that's it, right?
That is it for the news.
And now it's time for the most skipped to part of the show.
Woo.
It is Accountability 101.
Yeah.
If this is your first venture into this is where I hold the Metal Faerie accountable for all the bands that she said that she was going to check out over the past 11 years of our relationship and has still never done it.
Yeah.
Although in the past 11 years, I have to give her a little bit of credit, especially this year. You've checked out almost 275 albums.
Yeah.
Not saying you wanted to, but you've been doing it.
Yeah. Not full albums, but
not full, but you've checked out 274 different bands just from Out Today and What I Missed.
That is true.
So I'll give you a little bit of credit when it comes to that.
I'm a trooper.
But at the same time, you never check out stuff on your own, usually.
Yeah, well...
So that's why we brought this segment to be, so you actually be held accountable for doing this.
Yeah.
And, we've had many highs, a lot of new favorite bands, a lot of new discoveries for you, a few misses, a few things I'm very confused on the way that you feel about things, mainly your definition of what a hipster is. But this week, we're going with a band that you've told me before seems only appropriate for Halloween. So let's see if that's still the case with the brand new album from Crypt Sermon, The Stygian Rose. This album came out less than a month ago now, and it's one of my favorite Doom albums of the year. It's got that Doom, early day heavy metal sound to it, a very horror influenced. You can tell that from like the artwork that they have, the lyrical content, everything that goes into it. It's got that dark, evil horror heavy metal aspect to it, and there's a reason why they have become so beloved over the years. This particular album shows the vocals kind of dropping down in range. I had one of my friends on Facebook say the previous albums, he kind of sounded like Chester Bennington, which he doesn't say that was a jab, but I think that was a jab at his vocal ability, because I know what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
But this has much more of a Messiah Candlemass, maybe a cathedral kind of feel behind it. And I think it's the most mature album that they've put out to date. And with that, it's only 6 songs and, just about 45 minutes. So it's like that perfect record LP length, because they're normally 45 minutes. And this is 10 seconds shy of that. So, just perfect. Now, over the years, through different songs, you've been so flip-floppy with this.
I know.
Sometimes you hate it. Sometimes it's something like you have to be in the right mood to hear it. Sometimes it's exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And it constantly changes.
I'm fickle.
Fickle. Who's going to remember that? But, yeah, this is regarded as the best Crypt Sermon album they've done. This is going to be regarded as one of the best doom metal albums of 2024, and I know a lot of people are going to consider this to be one of the best albums of 2024. But do you agree? Let's hear your track-by-track rapport of everything about the Stygian Rose.
All right. First song, Glimmers in the Underworld. Very catchy song. He has a very like dirty voice, if that makes sense, but it fits the music perfectly. There's some nice melodic parts in this as well, with even cleaner vocals. I mean, it's not harsh vocals that he does, but
Well,
there's
a little more aggressive.
The dirty aggressiveness, but then he does have that clean side too, which is nice. I really like the guitar solo on this. There's some good guitar work. Number 2, Thunder, Perfect Mind. Another catchy one. I really like the drums on this one. I felt like they were very dynamic sounding.
I know the drummer of Crypt Sermon. He used to help me out lots with different promos and interviews and stuff. And
nice.
Obviously, the other side, he's becoming a little more busy with bands now and stuff nowadays in his own chord. But,
sure.
you know, it's great to see Enrique getting like great notable attention nowadays.
Nice. Definitely very evil sounding, like very welcome to hell, you know.
Venom?
No, just like literally.
I know you didn't know that was from Venom.
I didn't
but
think
they
you would
do have a
think
song
that,
called Welcome to Hell.
Okay, well, hey, who knows, maybe. And I love, like, kind of towards the ending, there's this part that's just piano and guitar, and that's really beautiful. I love that piece too.
The next song up is Down in the Hollow.
Yes, it is. Very catchy again, but this one didn't have as much that stood out to me as the first two. It's still perfectly fine, but it just didn't stand out to me as much.
Fair enough.
The fourth one, Heavy is the Crown of Bone. Again, this one is fine, but it didn't stick out too much to me. Tell me if I'm using the right word. It seemed a little groovier, like groove.
Well, there's some groove to it, yeah. Okay. I wouldn't go as far as to say it sounds like Pantera or anything.
No. But it was fine. It was fine. The fifth song, Scrying Orb. I love the keyboard, like orb sound at the beginning. Absolutely love that. This is probably my favorite song from the album. Very slow and moody, but then there's heavier parts when it's needed. And then the sixth and final song, the Stygian or Stygian? Stygian Rose. Love the piano at the beginning. Again, this is another super moody one, which I really like. Overall...
See, before you continue on, that's what confuses me so much about you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to be in the right mood to enjoy something. But if something is moody, you can listen to it whenever you want.
Yeah.
So which is it?
Both. But overall, I like them. Definitely the songs that have like those melodic parts with like the keys or the more guitar like solo and stuff like that. I love that. And the songs that are just moodier, as you said, are some of my favorites. I would love to have an instrumental with just the guitar and piano. Because that would be so cool. But yeah, I like it.
Would you ever check out another Crypt Sermon album?
Yeah, I
mean,
would.
there's only 2 others, but...
I would.
Okay.
And like, as
Are
far
you going to keep tabs going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily see myself listening to this entire album again, but there's songs that I would definitely put like on playlists and stuff.
So to me, it sounds like the beginning and the end are good for you, but the middle doesn't work for you.
Yeah, the middle just fell a little short for me.
Okay, that's fair enough. But yay or nay overall?
I'd say yay overall. Yeah, they have that horror theme that I enjoy, and there's definitely parts I like. Instrumentally, like I think they're like really good guitar, really good drums. I love the piano stuff, you know. Yeah.
So what about vocally? I mean, you left out instrumental.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like the cleaner parts a little bit more. They just hit me the right way. But like I said, his voice has a dirty kind of sound to it, which isn't always my thing, but it's fitting for the music. So I think it could become more my thing with more, listens and stuff.
All right, that is completely fair, and that is the Metal Faerie's take on the Stygian Rose by Crypt Sermon. Have you checked this one out? Are you a Doom fan? Do you like this album? Do you not like it? What are your thoughts on Crypt Sermon? Please let us know down below. But we can't end this segment without trying to figure out what band and what album is going to be showing up next week.
Yes.
Right now, we got 11 choices here, and I should probably throw in another The Metal Faerie's choice in there at some point as well.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun just to see see what random stuff is going to come up on here. And there's a lot of random bands on this one. There's always going to be more. This is basically an infinite list that changes all the time. So that is not a concern. I don't think we're ever going to run out of bands, but if you want to contribute to this, why don't you let us know down below, and we'll see if it's something that would be up her alley or not.
Yeah.
Of course, the point of this segment is to get her into the bands.
Yes.
Not just to have her eviscerate them.
Not have me tortured.
Even though apparently that's happened a few times on here. You know, I can't bat a perfect batting average, you know, sometimes I'm going to swing and miss. Other times it's been home runs. But now let's see what we got for next week. I can't wait to see what's going on here. There's so many choices that it could be.
Is it going to be? Yes.
Yes.
I was hoping for that one.
We talked about this in the car yesterday.
Yeah.
As we're waiting for long legs to start, even before we got the tickets, because we got them in the parking lot.
Yes.
This came on randomly, and I said, hey, I should throw this band into Accountability 101. And it just reminded me to put a few more bands onto here. And wouldn't you know it, they're on here.
Yeah.
A band that I feel is a combination of heavy metal, progressive, a little bit of thrash, and I dare say, and I've said it before, some glam influence as well.
Yeah.
Which, you know, on probably their biggest song, it kind of reminds me of a glam riff.
Oh, absolutely.
If you disagree with me, I would love to fight you on this.
Yes.
But of course, I am talking about Armored Saint.
Yes.
Of course, John Bush would also be fronting Anthrax for a little bit of time. And bassist Joey Vera, who's basically played in almost every big prog band at some point. He's also been in Merciful Fate, Fate's Warning, all these other types of bands. But you know which album I'm going to have you check out. It's going to be their biggest album.
Yes.
And arguably their best album, 1990s Symbol of Salvation.
All right.
And of course, this has all the heavy hitters. It says Rain of Fire. This has Last Train Home. And I just need to tell the story here now.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell the story next week again.
Yes.
Prog Power, 2016. First night or second night, I can't remember now. Armored Saints was playing right before Saxon.
Yeah.
So I think it was the first night. Last song they played was Rain of Fire. John Bush went around the entire venue singing. During the last chorus, he was next to you.
Yes.
Singing. And much like we talked about with Death Angel, you couldn't have cared less. It wasn't until years upon years later that you actually gave Armored Saint a chance.
Yeah.
What is with you?
Yeah, I have issues. I don't even have any, memory of this, really. Him singing next to me.
He was right next to you singing Rain of Fire.
Oh.
And you couldn't have cared less. God have mercy on your soul. And God have mercy that you tune in next week when you hear the Metal Faerie's thoughts on Symbol of Salvation by Armored Saint. All right, take two, everybody, as we started off with a frog squawk of an intro that we need to restart. What I was originally going to say was, I find it funny you thought we were going to be short this week.
I know.
We're almost at an hour and a half as we're finishing things up here.
Yeah.
We have a way of being able to banter back and forth now that we just didn't have a year ago.
That is true.
So I think we're getting better at this.
We is.
And over the last few days, I want to say that I've gotten some really nice positive comments from people I do not know.
Good.
So that makes it even better.
Nice.
Like people are saying this show should be bigger.
Yeah.
The channel should be bigger. I just started checking out the podcast and I really love what you two do.
Aww.
All kinds of stuff like that.
Well, thank you to everybody out there listening.
Yeah, so that is pretty cool that people are enjoying this, even though, we're still small. There's no denying that.
Oh, sure.
Obviously we're not doing the sponsor moments on here. Before we continue on, we'd just like to be sponsored by this shoe company. And,
Blue Chew.
well, I wasn't trying to give the names.
Well, Blue Chew, if you want to sponsor us.
Maybe they'll reinvigorate something in our relationship. Hey-oh!
Oh boy, here we go. Let's move on.
Anyways, we need to end the show right, doing our music stuff here.
Yeah.
And of course, new music.
Yeah.
We talk about new singles in one part, and we do Outstay and What I Missed in the bottom half, usually.
Yeah.
Again, I need to bring up the fact that next week there will not be any Outstay and What I Missed albums. There might be singles if there's anything that gets released next week.
Yeah.
We might do something. We haven't really decided, but as you can see, we've learned how to banter long enough that we don't always need glorious segment if we don't have something for it.
It's true. It's true.
But yeah, we're going to start off with some singles. I think we have 5, maybe 6.
5, I believe.
5, okay. And we checked them all out yesterday, so you can see how well prepared we are on all
yes,
this.
Exactly.
Before the Kerfluffle.
Before the Kerfluffle. Well, that was 2 days ago then. Either way, up first, we checked out Charlotte Vessels featuring Simone Simmons with Dopamine.
Yes, apparently she has a new solo album coming out. I also learned that Vikram did the keyboards and arrangements and different stuff for this one.
Okay, nice.
That said, I still don't dig it.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine to me.
I don't blame him for it.
No.
I just don't like what's going on here.
Yeah.
It just feels like she's trying to be a pop star now.
Yeah, kind of.
Like still trying to keep some of that metal stuff, to make it very European pop, but pop nonetheless. And of course, I have my feelings about Simone that maybe when I get out of the game, I'll talk about one day. But nothing I'll say now, but I don't think she contributed anything to this.
No, and they were wearing the same wig, so I couldn't tell them apart in the video.
I do believe that was the point of the video.
Maybe. But yeah, to your point, like I feel like so many female metal singers now are trying to have that like pop persona, and that's just annoying. Up next, we checked out High Parasite with Grave Intentions.
Yes, Grave Parasite is Aaron Stainthorpe of My Dying Bride, basically doing something that's not just slow, brooding doom metal.
Yeah.
He's basically doing like Paradise Lost style, compared to My Dying Bride, this sounds like grindcore in the amount of speed that's going on.
Sure, yeah.
But it's more mid-tempo, a little more rockin' metal, gothic-y side of stuff. And they also announced that they're opening for Cradle of Filth in the UK, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Really dug the second single. I still think I like the first one more, but I do like both songs. And I can't wait for this album, even though I probably won't get to interview Aaron.
Yeah, I really like this one too. I think I probably like the first one more too, but I love the gothy tinge of it, and yeah, I just like what they're doing. Up next was Sometime in February with The Bad Fight featuring Paul Wagoner.
Of Between the Buried and Me, which you didn't write down.
No, I didn't.
I think that's important to put on there.
Yeah, sure.
Of course, a friend of mine just so happens to be in the band. They just got signed to Inside Out Records, so an instrumental prog band gets to be in the likes of Dream Theater and Devin Townsend and formerly Fate's Warning and all that kind of stuff, so I can't give them more props than that. This is probably gonna be the lone instrumental album that I check out this year. Anyone who's followed me over the past almost 13 years knows that I used to love listening to instrumental music. And of course I did an interview for an instrumental project, but that is technically considered an EP, I guess. So this will probably be the lone instrumental album that I checked out. That said, I like what they do. They know how to be melodic in the right moments. They know when to show off. In all honesty, I don't think Paul Wagner really needed to do a guitar solo on here because it was like all of like 7 seconds. At least according to the music video.
Yeah.
I want to hear it in full context, but it's just like, it's cool to see instrumental bands still getting signed. You.
Yeah, it's not for me. I mean, I'm not a big instrumental person in general, but it was just
Unless it's Yngwie.
But yeah, it was very like college kids who are in music school project to me. Watching the video, the guitar player, like he had a beautiful guitar, which is great, but he kept making these facial expressions that just distracted me, and he had on these stark white shoes with all black clothes, and it just distracted me.
Of course, you are the kind of person that listens to an instrumental band and has to find something visually to distract you.
Yeah. Up next, we have Nile with Two Strike with Secret Fang.
Barely 2 minutes long. And funny enough, their last, the first single from their upcoming album, to say the name of the title probably takes 2 minutes long to say with how long it is. So this is the exact opposite. This is just like a straight up brutal tech death song.
Yeah.
Just like what early day Nile used to be about. And a former member of Nile who was an integral part of the band for quite a long time. And the reason why I don't like a lot of Niall albums, of course, this is the second album without him on it since he originally joined. It makes me appreciate what Niall's doing now, but I still have that really bad taste in my mouth from when he was in the band. And I think overall, yeah, shots fired here. I hear every Minnesota local band in this track.
It's true.
Every Minnesota death metal band is trying to be Niall.
Yeah.
And they're not Niall.
No.
It's much, much worse version of Niall.
Yeah.
And that's why you'll never like Niall. Or at least one of the reasons, I gotta imagine.
Yeah. But yeah, I hated it. There's nothing enjoyable about it at all. And yeah, to your point, it does sound like Minnesota metal bands, which are all the same members anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
Death metal. Let's get that distinction in there.
Death metal.
Yeah.
Death metal. Minnesota death
See,
metal.
when we say the local scene around here, usually I refer to the Minnesota death metal scene. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm referring to when I say the local scene. Mm-hmm. Of course, there's a lot of new metal bands around here. Our black metal scene is exceptional here.
Yeah.
With bands like Amiensis and Panopticon.
Yes.
Our death metal scene sucks.
Yeah. Terrible.
It is god awful, and it's filled with the type of people who get so angry at any band that leaves the Twins or the Midwest.
Yeah.
Because they'll go to Wisconsin, they'll go to North Dakota, they'll go to Iowa or Chicago, but if they do a full-on tour, they hate you now. They want nothing more than to see your demise.
You are out of the club.
And it's just nothing but poop talking from start to finish because I was a part of it. Not that I was wishing those on those bands, mainly because none of those bands were ever going to leave the one venue that was playing those bands every weekend.
Yes.
Which I don't even know if they're still around anymore.
No idea.
But yeah, a little tirade on the local Minnesota death metal scene. But
Exactly.
yeah, all of them try to sound like, if you want to hear a third-rate version of Niall, check out the Minnesota death metal local scene.
Yes. And finally, we checked out Entheos with All for Nothing.
Yes, this is a boyfriend-girlfriend, or they might be married now, combination. I never know how to pronounce his name, but he's been in a lot of different bands as a drummer, but he's been picking up guitar and bass now. He wrote everything musically in the band, and she does all the lyrics and stuff. And it's kind of like that Joker Harley Quinn situation where they're watching the world burn and they're writing music about it. It just kind of feels like that chaos is surrounding them, but they have each other, so it's okay, kind of thing. There's parts I did like about it, but I also realized how much I'm not into tech metal anymore.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of techie moments on here. There's a lot of great melodic moments as well, but there's so much of that tech stuff that is just not for me anymore.
Yeah, there was some things I liked about it, but I didn't like the vocals, and it was just kind of an odd mix, I felt like, so.
Yeah, it didn't feel odd to me. I mean, there's jarring moments, but that comes with like technical metal in general. I mean, it has like some of the genty parts on there. There's a lot of start-stop stuff going on. Not necessarily breakdowns, but just like not holding on the notes and stuff. But it's off an EP, and it feels like it's all music that didn't fit onto their last album, which came out last year, is my guess. I mean, hate to burst the bubble for a lot of people. Like if a band is putting out an EP not long after their album, it's all the B-sides off of that previous album. And almost always, it's a way to get out of their contract.
Yeah.
Like, they need to put out one more release before they go label shopping again, or maybe just go DIY. But that's usually why EPs happen in the first place. But with all that said, we need to talk about 10 more albums, or at least in this case, through the eyes of the Metal Faerie, about half of 10 songs in a segment known as Out Today and What I Missed for July 12th, 2024. This is a day after that in recording and 2 days after when you get to hear it. But this is the last batch of music I'm covering until the end of July. And this is mainly an extreme metal week. There's a couple albums that I wouldn't really consider to be on the deep ends of extreme music, but there's a lot of black metal in this one. Black metal, death metal, all that kind of stuff. And to start it all off is one of those bands that I was talking about that doesn't fit into that. The US prog metal band The Mourning, which is spelt like when you're grieving, mourning, with the debut album Hush. This has a lot of progressive rock, modern progressive metal moments going on there. And I can see a lot of reasons why you would not like this.
Yeah, I mean, there were some parts I like, and I thought the vocals were nice, but a lot of it was too wanky for me.
For people who might be tuning in for the first time, what is your definition of wanky?
Yeah, so it's usually prog related, where it's just kind of showing off a little too much and kind of jumping all around a lot, if that makes sense.
That's right, Ingve.
You shut up about Ingve.
He's the ultimate wanker of a guitar player.
But not in a proggy way.
Yes, you don't think Ingve is prog?
No.
You couldn't be more wrong.
He's a neoclassical god.
He messes with time signatures all the time. He has long songs.
Not in a proggy way, I don't think.
He has prog musicians playing with him. Jeff Scott Soto.
Difference of opinions.
Well, I see what's being clipped for the show next week. Next up, we're going in a very different direction with a death metal rock opera with 13 Goats and their new album Capricorn Rising. Yes, this is black metal, death metal, progressive rock, alternative, all these types of things. But mainly it's like black and death metal kind of stuff, first and foremost. But through the eyes of a rock opera. What'd you think?
I love the clean vocal parts. The other parts I don't love, but I feel like the clean vocal parts could make it worth it for me. So I need to check out more for them to kind of see what their other stuff sounds like too, but yeah.
Which means she's not going to check them out.
It doesn't mean that for sure.
It does. And you didn't even say anything about their name.
Well, yes, the name too. I mean, number one, I love goats. Number two, it sounds evil, and I like evil horror stuff, so that's up my alley.
Well, there you go. Next up, another Canadian band, Turbo, with an album that I might have to sue over since it sounds like they wrote this about me, Broken Ugly.
Oh, jeez.
As the partner of someone who is broken ugly, what did you think of this kind of more aggressive punk, black and roll kind of stuff?
It was catchy and fun. I mean, it was, like you said, punky, and yeah, sometimes punk is just fun.
All right, next up is one of the most, I think it's the most polarizing new album release of this week. It is the debut album from Ver and Zige, I think is how it's pronounced, with their debut album, Bosom. This is atmospheric black metal, post-black, post-punk at points, gothic, all of this kind of stuff. Like, it shows the extreme ends of black metal. It can also sound like Egglock and Alcest. It goes into many different directions throughout the entire album, but there's one key thing that really makes it polarizing. No black metal vocals in a black metal album. It is all clean vocals, and I thought for sure that would have won you over, and how wrong I was.
Yeah. The vocals were just very drawn out, and just that.
Granted, she's going off of the first half of one song, but continue.
The not caring type of sound, and the music was super dull, and the picture that came up for them on Spotify looks like they just graduated from St. Elmo's Fire.
See, I think we just need to cut out these parts and put them up as YouTube shorts. It's just you eviscerating bands. Because if you want people to tune in, this is what would do it.
Well, that is true. That is true. I don't want to be mean, though, but I mean, in this context, you're asking me for my opinion. But
right.
If you put it out as a short, it's like I'm attacking them.
But you're also doing that on the show. Like, anyone who checks out the show, they would hear your opinion.
Yeah, but it's because you're asking me my opinion. It's a difference.
Not really. It's just cutting out what you're saying and putting it up
Theirs
separately.
goes do 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 do. Mine goes do 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 do. It's not the same.
It is the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
Would you want to see these as YouTube shorts, or maybe if we even do TikTok, if we do separate stuff? Please let us know. But yes, the last 6 here are ones that I've missed along the way. Starting off with the Swedish band known as Arestia with Requiem. This is the final album from this band, probably why it's called Requiem. This is a combination of old school death metal and crust punk. Right up my alley, and it's certainly not up yours.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that it's punky, but it's more aggressive punk than I like.
Yeah,
so.
crust punk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what that is.
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm.
So you can't get mad at it.
I'm not mad at it. I'm just saying it's more aggressive than I like. Yeah. Okay. It's not like I sought it out. I was like, ooh, crust punk. I'm going to listen to it. This was on the list that was put in front of me.
I just need you to hear this again.
Okay.
Everyone out there in podcast land. Mm-hmm. The Metal Faerie talks about this particular album being too aggressive for her taste. While next up, we have possibly the most aggressive, extreme album of 2024 that I've heard. With the latest album from Oculus with House of the Black Geminis. Like, some of the most brutal, assaulting black metal I've heard in such a long time. Like, this is the music that sounds like you're entering a black void. And what did you think of this?
I mean, yes, all that is true, but then there's synthiness over it, which just makes it for me. I am a sucker for synth, and it's super evil and harsh, but the synthiness just puts it in that mood that I love.
So, again, the previous album, too aggressive.
Too aggressive of punk.
This album,
There's different levels of aggression.
one of the most extreme albums you're going to hear in 2024. Yeah, I like this one.
There's different levels of aggression I like for different types of music.
This will not ever stop being funny for me. Next up, we're traveling over to Sweden for the debut album of Bloodcross with Gravebound. This is just perfect textbook definition of melodic black metal and melodic death metal mixed together. It's the combination of both of those. Sometimes it leans a little more mellow black, sometimes it's a little more mellow death, but I think they found a mixture that really, really works for them. But what about you?
Yeah, I liked it. Like you said, it's a very interesting mix. Like, it incorporates a lot of the different stuff I like. A little bit of folkiness in the beginning, at least. A little bit of black, but a lot of good melodies throughout. So yeah.
All right, next up, going to, of course, the group of Dutchmen known as Horn Almighty with Contagion Zero. When you look at the lyrics, when you look at the title, when you just hear the overall sound of it, this is a black metal album about what we experienced just a few years ago. Like, this is just like pure pandemic, plague kills world, satanic black metal. It's either for you or it's not. Was it for you?
I found some catchy elements in it, but I felt like I need to hear more to get a feel for what they're like overall, you know?
I think you pretty much heard it. It's like straight up black metal.
You know, some catchy stuff.
Okay. In one that I was curious if this was going to be for you or not, of course, spoiler, it's not, is the brand new album from Venmure with the Timeless Ever-Present. This Atlanta band, I thoroughly enjoy their style of more extreme black metal, but you certainly did not.
Yeah, like, the music wasn't bad, but I hated the vocals, so meh.
Nah.
Yeah.
And then finally, an album that I thought you were just gonna hate and poop and pee all over. Is the debut album from Vorath, a Midwest kind of all-star group of featuring members of all different bands coming together for this group, with Volume 1, Hymn of the Hunters. This is a combination of progressive death metal, technical death metal, a little bit of metalcore thrown in there at times, just an all-out assault to the audible senses, and I thought you were going to hate everything about this. Again, proving my point about something being too aggressive. And then there's something like this, and what did you think about it?
I thought it was very catchy, very dynamic. Like, it has parts where it's super hard and fast, but then there's the moments of melody as well, and the chorus over it is just wonderful. Chef's kiss.
You know, when I talk to you about albums sometimes,
Yeah.
and I did allude to this before when talk about Crypt sermon, where you constantly change your mind.
Yeah.
It's like that bit from Howard Stern when they're talking to Beetle.
Yeah.
It's like, how much do you weigh? Oh, about 108 pounds. And what's your height? About 8 feet tall. And when you got on the scale last time, what did it say? About 500 pounds. And today, how tall are you? About 4'2".
Oh,
I never know what to expect from you.
oh, Beetle.
And I think that's a great note to end on. Thank you so very much for tuning in to episode 53 of this Kerfluffle we know as the Heavy Debriefings podcast. What did you think of the show? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do the like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff if you're checking it out on YouTube. And, you know, pass it around and actually full on listen to it if you're checking it out on Spotify and all the other podcast places where it's really hurting. Doing a lot better on YouTube, but everywhere else it's really, really struggling. So we would appreciate it if you check it out
Yes.
and actually, you know, spread the word of it. Some people have been doing that brand new to the YouTube channel, and I couldn't thank you more for that, and I appreciate that so much. Now I just need to call on all of you who say you check out what I do. Let's see if you actually do. Please spread the word.
Yeah.
Next week, we will be checking out Armored Saints Symbol of Salvation for Accountability 101. Apparently, we're going to be checking out Kite Man.
Yes.
Hell yeah, at least the first episode. I don't know if it all drops on one day or if it's going to be weekly. I don't know if it's a limited series or not. I feel like this is going to be canceled in the first season. Just with the way Warner Brothers Discovery is doing stuff now. We'll see. But until then, for the Bone Dry Valley known as the Metal Faerie, this is the insufferable Josh Ronquist saying, embrace the skullet.